Yo, what's up guys? Talking about doing RTA on a beginner account. So far on Saber Guardian I haven't done any RTAs, but it is actually pretty good to do RTA for one main reason, and that is getting the seasonal achievements. Because sure, you can do some matches and you get some points here and there, but mainly the seasonal achievements are pretty nice, which is just kind of things you can get at any given point. They're not necessarily very difficult, and you just have to do a lot of matches, or maybe decent amount of matches to get like victories in or defeating enemies. But you can do that at the lowest rank. Would I recommend to drop down as many points as possible of just going in and then insta losing and going out? Sure, but you also have this one where you do want to get some rankings in. And I think that that is not even that hard to get. Yeah, you just have to get like Challenger 3. I think upwards of like Fighter 3 is relatively doable to get. The moment you want to hit into Conqueror, it gets a little bit more difficult. But then the big question, what units to use? Well, first of all, you do want to make sure that you have all of the support units in here. And throughout the draft, I will kind of explain which ones I think are good, which ones are bad. Thus far, I think most of them are not that crazy good. We have definitely seen better ones out there before, where we had a season where there was like an Etna or a few other units. But there's still a few decent units out there that might be good. But you definitely also want to be using the few good units you have. So in my case, I have a Vanessa, I have a Daphnis, I have a Juno, I have a Veramos, I went for an Asher, and I went for a Veramos. I think that those are pretty good. Everyone will have the Veramos, Asher, and Verd. Those three you probably don't have. But it really depends on what you pulled. So it's kind of hard to go through everything that makes sense, that could be good. You could be looking at an RTA tier list and just seeing like, okay, what do other people use? But there's a lot of units out there that need a lot of rune requirement to actually be good. So a few small examples that I can give that I think would do insanely good at the early game would be a Maya Wang, because you just need 100 crit rate and then you go tanky stats and he takes so much stats from the passive that I think that this is one of those units that would be really good at the early game for a unit that if you have it, definitely do use it. I would also say for the, Miles, just go for speed, you go tanky rest of the sets, and you will still do a lot of damage. Plus, you compare it with the Raccoon that's given for free. Then again, if the Raccoon is not given for free, it's super easy to build a Raccoon. So I think Miles is one of those that's also super easy to build. But besides that, it gets a little bit more niche of like getting to know the characters, and from there kind of getting to know, it's like, okay, what is good, what is not good. And maybe also, you know, it's like you lose against a few characters and then you see it's like, hey, maybe I can use that myself as well. Or you ask around, it's like, hey, saying like, I'm super beginner game. What of my units can I use already? Because, for example, you could go into like using Poseidon or Theomars or those kind of things, but they're not really good for RTA. And I would definitely highly recommend not to build more than 10 units. Because you simply are not going to have the runes for more than 10 units. It's just a straight up fact. You're not going to have that many runes, so don't go for too many runes units. And I think that goes all the way up until like even Punisher or even like Guardian ranks. The moment that you add more and more units to your draft, you're making your rune quality lower and lower. And also you're making the draft more and more difficult. Sure, you keep all of the supports in, even though some of the supports are maybe not that crazy. But it's definitely one of those things that you might want to do to just check. It's like, okay, I have a box of like 50 units in here. If you're a C3 player or C2 or C1 or Punisher 1, 2, 3, maybe look into like removing half of your box and just keep like 25 units, because you really don't need that many units to actually draft in all of that nonsense. Because most of them you don't draft, most of them have bad runes, and most of them are just not going to perform that well. I don't actually have any skill ups on the Juno, the Vanessa, or, well, I think the Amnod has some skill ups. Veramos is max skill up. So that's also something you keep in mind. Units that are not skilled up are definitely going to be a bit worse. But let's actually see what we get in the draft and what kind of drafts we can make with the people that we're playing against. So we're seeing a Chiwu, so definitely something of speed contesting. And to be honest, like, trust me on this one, the first time you play your RTA, your first few matches, you're going to be like, what the hell is going on? I have no clue. I just want to slap on my units and see where it goes. Yeah, it's probably fine like that. But since he's speed contesting, I'll go for the Amduet, because Amduet is pretty good into speed contesting. He takes a turn, I'll take a turn, I screw him over. It's kind of the idea. I'm also looking at elemental counters. So you have the Chow, of course. There will be an elemental counter on this one right now. But it also depends, like, what are the other units he's going to be drafting. In most cases, it might be more interesting to pick support units first rather than your own units. Because in the support units, both of you will probably have the same units. going in here. So he definitely does double down on some kind of draft that's revolving around stripping and then AoE CCing and all of that kind of good stuff. Is this build on Nemesis? Nope, terrible build, should be on Nemesis. We could go for a Chow, but Chow's pretty bad into this. I think the Monkey will do good because there's a lot of AoE hits and he picks up on those AoE hits, which is always good. I don't think a Vermos would do that great, but I think he would fear a Vert. Most cases, Verts are triple revenge. I absolutely do not have the runes yet for a triple revenge Vert, so I just go via Will. It's the next best thing, pretty much. More water units, a lot more water units. I do have the double fire over here. I don't have any sustain thus far. I think that's also kind of missing in this. There's not really a good sustainer in there, and I think if I were to pick a sustain right now, he would probably ban that. But I think we're going to go for sustain as in the form of a Vermos. And then the big question is, what do we ban on his side? We could go for the AoE strip. We could go for the pushback unit that also provides a bomb. But in this case, if you're pretty new to the game, you're going to find a lot of units that you're like, I have no freaking clue what they do. So then if you just drop down a few ranks, you play a few matches, you will still get there. And even if you lose, you can still get some of the achievements in. And that's just the main thing. So for bans right now, what are we looking at? This thing will be annoying, that thing will be annoying. Let's actually remove you. He actually removes that. Did not really expect that, but sure thing. So I do still... Oh, he didn't want to go for crit. Or he should have went for speed lead, not a crit lead on just one character. That doesn't really help you too much. But let's just see what he can do with those units. Oh, yeah, like if you go into RTA, I would also recommend... put runes to your shits. Like, if you're planning to use anything, make sure that it is at least runed. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, my Vermos is nothing crazy. Okay, it's 170, but it's just like a good Swift set that I have on that. Also, a thing in the early game, a lot of players are not gonna have will. A lot of players are not gonna have immunity. And that you can actually utilize. Like, let's say you have a very fast unit, that is like a 113 base or 115 base. Something like this that actually has a disrupt right away, such as a Savannah or a, what's it called? Can't think of the name right now. Ganymede. Something along those lines will actually be really good for the early game because people in most cases don't really have will. Okay, he does go for a hard counter over here with the Leo hard countering my speed comps. I am planning to not play at his dogshit speeds, but let's add in the Irene, can put units in the back. Why is that Swift? Why is that not Vio? That would be so much more of a Vio set. Why is that Fatal? Oh man, these sets on the supports right now are so ass. Holy hell. But let's add in the Dominic. Yeah, the support sets at the moment are pretty darn ass. Holy shit. This might definitely be a little bit more of a difficult draft right here, but I think it's still kind of doable. It's a little bit all round in the elements right here. Let's see what he does have for the final pick. Okay, actually goes for 2 LDs over there. That is definitely an option. I think I'll keep both LDs in and I'm going to be removing you. But then I want to be looking at something where I can see C-lock him. And Okeanos is the best take for that probably. Only weird thing about Okeanos, normally you want to go violent on Okeanos because Okeanos already stuns. But now he stuns on top of stuns and then you still have a stun and that doesn't change anything. No, actually, we're going to go for Vermos in here. I think the Vermos would actually do better. Because the Vermos is just a bit faster and it's a better set than this. I actually would say that the support sets this season are pretty ass. Okay, remove the Dominic, so that's removing the main damage output. Let's see if this guy actually does have will. I do have damage in the form of you and, well, the others are just a little bit of chit damage. Asher, I do recommend if you build it, go for crit rate on the 4. And then HP on the 6, so you still have some damage on your HP kind of scaling right now. We actually do have some will runes in this case. I think I want to take you out with a strip. That is good. Good damage as well, as mentioned. Make sure that you always do some damage. Locking those 2 out right there, that's great. I think I'm going to put you in the back. Can we land that? We do actually land that. If I go for any hits on this right now, he will probably go for the protect. And then I save my skill to go for the proper hit at a later moment. So that's going to be game plan. He defends it. Makes sense because it's the lowest HP target out there. We do get a few hits in ourselves. That is totally fine. Since this is already on that, we can probably put that on ourselves right now. That's also fine. We go for the S2. And we have you moving in front. And we can do a little bit of damage over there. And then we can start dealing the proper damage over there. Also, I think that was not really ruined that much. So you saw the damage on that thing. You could go for an S2 stun kind of thing right now, but I'm not really fearing it that much. If you go for an S3, it's kind of wasting your own HP. Goes for the S2, stuns a little bit. That is totally fine. Can add in a little bit more chip damage. Probably will go for the third skill soon, but do we have enough damage? Nope, we don't have enough damage on that just yet. So he will go for an S3, but that is still totally fine. A little bit of revive ain't gonna do all too much to us right now. Ooh, that additional turn actually will provide him good healing. That is definitely a little bit annoying, but we still have more stun potential. Let's just try to get rid of this thing as fast as possible again. In this case, we're actually going to be putting you in the back, so you can't go for an S3 snipe. That is totally fine. And we go for a little bit more healing. And this way you can see where I already have a pretty all-round team. Like, sure, the Vanessa not everyone is gonna have. But the other 3 units, everyone can pick up. And that's kind of the thing. Like, sure, you have to be checking, like, oh, what can you actually use and what can you not use? But it's, I could totally go for, like, oh, this is a full free-to-play team. But that's the thing. I don't recommend you to go full free-to-play. Make usage of the units you do have. Do actually take a proper check in your box of the units you do have that might actually be interesting for you to use, rather than just saying like, oh, use full free-to-play. Because full free-to-play, everyone's going to be pulling at least something that could be somewhat usable towards RTA. In my case, that's the Vanessa. In your case, might be something completely different. But for the sake of the video, I'll showcase you a draft with just free-to-play units and then support units. Let's say you don't have a speed lead, because in the end, Vanessa is super meta for that speed lead, and that speed lead will already give a big edge over the other players. So let's look at a draft where we just go, okay, he goes for Shizuka first pick. That is one of the support units. Shizuka, most of the time you do want to reset, so we go for this. Shizuka will provide debuff, so we're going to go for the Vermos. Vanessa is pretty useful for the speed lead, but also the skill too. Plus she has the protection where they have to kill things double. So she's actually really good early on in RTA already. But looking at this draft, we have the resetter for that. We have the Vermos to provide any debuffs. Okay, he's going for full support-ish thus far. So I think we're going to join in with these two. And this is just a good cleanser against the stuns that he provides. And this thing cannot be stunned as well because he cleanses that off as well. Then he goes for the Dominic. I think he's just playing full support right now. A good pick from him would right now be the Irene if he goes full support. Let's see if he actually does lock that in. The int pick would be this. Also, fun fact, if you do see that he's picking all of the support units, you can actually check his runes. You could be like, oh, this one is actually high resistance, but it's not will. Okay, I check his other units. The Okeanos, is it willed? Okeanos is willed. Okay, this thing is actually not willed, so it's really bad. So that's one of those things. You can check the exact speeds and the exact, like, how do they work with all of that, because you do have the knowledge of their draft and their unit. So in this case, we go Irene. And we do know Irene is faster than any of these units. How fast is that Shizuka? Shizuka's 101. It could be the more annoying one. You could also be a little bit more annoying. But in this case, let's actually... I was actually checking the speeds over here, but I can check the speeds over there. Big question right now. Remove you or remove you? I think you are the most dangerous thing for us right now. It removes the child. Does make a lot of sense. We still take that first turn, so let's see what we do want to do with that first turn. If I go for any skills on the S2 of you, you will pick that up and give that to the whole team. Could be a little bit annoying, but we can definitely still reset that on you. I think you're the fastest out there, yep. So I think game plan is you reset that, you put that in the back, and then we start bruisering it out. I think the Dom is not that strong as well, because it is on a Fatal build. Oh, actually, you move all the way first. Well, in that case, do we still go S2? Yeah, let's just go S2. Okay, we do land it like that. That's totally fine. Do I reset you, put you in the back, or the other way around? No, I think I'd rather reset you. You're kind of annoying if you're on the field for too long. Put you in the back. That's perfect. I can give speed buff to you, just to get the moment that you do anything nonsense. Okay, I can also make you hit wrong element right now, which is pretty nice. So let's go for that. Yeah, that's not doing all too much. Perfect. You also have to hit this, and you don't have any skills because you're reset. If I start hitting this right now, Monkey might revenge, but I think I'll take that risk because I'd rather take you out. Also, this skill is definitely nice for debuffs. That's a good amount of debuffs land right there. So we can definitely chip down a little bit of HP. And I would say from the support units, I would say Irene is probably one of the stronger ones out there. Does get an additional turn over there. I'd rather see the additional turn on you than the additional turn on you. You can't additional turn. If I hit this and he were to counter, even if he does this, I probably would shake that off beforehand anyways. I'm not too scared of that. Not sure if I'm closing in on your skill back. That's why I gave the boost earlier on the monkey towards you. So in this case, I think I will lab once again. Yep, we do. And then I can take this unit out here on the left, which would make it where his team is already crippled by a decent amount. Going to be resetting you, so you also have less skills. And then I'm going to put you in the back. And that's the thing, like, sure, at the start of the game, you're not going to be knowing that much of, like, who does what counters what, and that kind of stuff. But you'll get there over time. You'll definitely get there over time. It just might take a little bit of time to actually to get understanding for you. It's like, okay, what works, what doesn't work. But as mentioned, this is pretty much a full free-to-play team, or this is a full free-to-play team, because all of those units are support or Vermos. And Vermos is as free as it gets, and this guy can already leave. Like, there's no way that Shizuka would win. But it's definitely something that's recommended to check, like, okay, who moves in front of what, where, when, and how. And yeah, that thing is despair, so he could despair on the S1, which is a little weird, but in the end, it does work out. Also, the monkey doesn't have that much damage. I would definitely say Irene is probably one of the stronger picks that you can make from this support case in here. So right now, you can already see that we get some points in here. We already got 109. And then the big question is, say, what do you want to buy for it? Do you go for the LD scrolls? No, you don't go for the LD scrolls. You just buy a bunch of these over here. I have no clue where I got 100 points, but at a certain point, I had like 100 points, maybe from an event or so. But the main thing you want to be buying is just the normal mystical scrolls, mainly due to now there still being event of the 10 plus 1, or so every 10 you use, you get 1 for free. So mystical scrolls always have higher value than the other scrolls. After mystical scrolls, I would recommend most people to buy wind scrolls, because wind scrolls gives you the highest chance of getting Feng Yang, Leo, or a Teshar. And the Teshar gives you the option to refund your Teshar and still keep a Teshar. The Feng Yang and Leo are just insanely good, plus the Tiana is insanely good. So by a really long shot, Wind is probably more interesting for you, unless you already have a few of those units, than the other two. Sure, there's good units in here, Adriana's, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. There's good units in Fire, can't really name one, Zyros, whatever. But Wind is really where most of the units shine, and that's why I really recommend to push you to. If you already have all normal scrolls, all mystical scrolls, don't start buying LDs. Like, one extra Darien is not going to help you anything. You're not going to pull that LD5 first. Try to lock in those normal net 5 units that you need. The Leo, the Feng Yang, the Tiana, those kind of units. If you already have that, you're pretty good. So in this case, it looks like we're speed contesting. So let's join in on the speed contest. Let's see who's faster. Ooh, some math. Okay, he definitely had some speed contest right there, but elemental-wise, still same. Okay, I guess he's pretty fast. I don't have a second speed, or I do have a second speed lead. Not sure to what extent I like this for speed lead being that slow. But I think I'm going to lock it in, because I would expect him to have another speed lead as well. And if he adds in support, he will definitely have another speed lead. So we do already have a good counter with a Vanessa into these, well, pretty much you. Well, not necessarily you, more into the Sonia. Let's see what else he likes to go for pick on the final. I'm kind of like eyeballing Veramos right now for the final pick. Does double down on going on full damage. With the Shizuka, interesting. I don't expect him to have a lot of will runes. I do know for a fact you don't have will runes. I don't expect you guys to have will runes. I have double speed lead. My Veramos is 170. I wouldn't be surprised that if I ban his speed lead, I will outspeed both of these units regardless with the Veramos. So he's thinking right now, it's like, okay, I only have one fast unit and I will take that game, but I have the double speed lead. So I have a 33 lead plus a pretty fast unit. If he's looking at like a 200 Bastet, he would outspeed me, but 200 Bastet, I don't really believe it. He was close, though. He was definitely close, but it was not the case. So in this case, that was actually his own Shizuka, because he did get the what's it called? He does have will, so it is his own Shizuka. So let's try to take this out. And this is the main reason why we want the Amduet on some damage as well, because it can add in a little bit of damage. I will get stunned by the whole team. That is going to be a little bit annoying, but let's just see what happens. Oh, I did actually stun that on the right as well. Okay, if this thing doesn't proc out, we're actually kind of good to go. I think that was a bad timing to use that. Okay, we did stun that again. That's a pretty nasty stun right there. So the two Despair stunners are definitely doing their job. she can go for a revive on the Sonya and then go for an S2. But let's see. This one is easy to kill. This one and that one, probably not. Goes for that one. Does nearly kill it though. Actually, more damage than I expected. But I still have the second life of you. I should actually skill up my Vanessa because my Vanessa is currently not skilled up. And then the passive takes legitimately forever to come back. Otherwise, you already had the passive back by this point. But now we don't. Just not that great. And what? A little bit of damage. Does always help out. And then from here, it's just bruisering things down. Land that, yes sir. Desert Wind, yes sir. Like I said, a little bit of damage on that Amulet, a little bit of crit rate does definitely work. So still easy win. Let me actually give the skill ups to the Vanessa because Vanessa, it's going to be used for arena defense and all kinds of shits anyway. So I might as well just give it the skill ups because I do have the skill ups on it. And it doesn't even eat that many skill ups. 9? Yep, 9. It's not that bad. If I pull another unit, I still have 13. And 13 is most of the time kind of the max you need. There are a few exceptions out there like Samath that need a little bit more than that. But thus far, as you can see, I'm taking first few wins right away. If you're a full new player or like a returning player, it might not be as easy, but it's still getting a little bit of the hang of it. And in the end, it doesn't really matter if you lose a lot. It's just trying to get the achievements in. That's just the main thing. Like win or lose doesn't matter. You're just trying to get the achievements in and get scrolls. That's the only thing. Build Ethno on new accounts, but I keep reading that I shouldn't bother. No, new account I wouldn't really go for an Ethno, no. It's a little bit more of a late game unit. Ooh, Panda. And that's, okay, that is a little bit annoying. I could go for you. But then again, I'm not really trusting the 77 over there. I can definitely go for Juno. Juno actually looks pretty solid in here. Thing is, it's looking a little bit fire heavy if I also go Vert right now. Because Vert also does look pretty decent. You, I don't know. Like I said, Irene is really strong. Okay, goes for the Federica. That's also the thing what you could look at. Is like, what kind of units do I have that I could pair very well with the support units that are out there? Okay, so he has double form of immunity. Actually, triple. I think that I get a solid combination if I move you. Wait, what's the turn order between you and you? That's kind of bad. Would have been better if Vanessa was a little bit faster. I think I removed this. And then I work on resetting this or putting this thing in the back. Let's see. Okay, removes that. That is fine. He does have the speed lead, which is a little bit annoying. I could go for a crit rate lead, which would finalize your crit rate for the last bit and yours for also a bit. But I think I have more value on HP. Now let's go crit rate. Okay, he goes for speed. Might be that's actually a smart one as well. If you do have a, well, everyone has a Chloe, probably. It's very easy to build. If you don't want to put your fastest runes on an Ashar, putting fastest runes on a Chloe, because most people don't really have strips just yet, is a good option as well. In this case, I do actually move first. But the big question is, what do we want to do? I think we're going to do it like this. We are definitely going to be resetting you. Great reset right there. I think we're just going to go for the cycling for the moment. I'm going to put you in the back. And then with that, I can, these are going to be playing like protection game and stuff, but I don't really care about it. Your reset, you're the real damage dealer. Feng Ying is put in the back at the moment. Like, sure, you could go for some hits right now, but it's not really going to be doing anything as of yet. So let's just do a hit over here. I don't really need the S2 as of yet. Okay, does a little bit of damage, but since your reset, I have crit rate on that one. Does nearly take it out, and right now we can actually take it out. This one still has the S3, could go for a little bit of protection, but he does know that from this fight on, sure, the Feng Yang maybe could have done a thing at the late game, but it would have been difficult for him in the first place. So we do get a few more victories, and therefore we get a few more points. And as you can see, you're already rocking a decent amount of points. And wait, you can't actually see that because my face is in front of it. But you're already rocking a decent amount of points, and in the end, like I said, just try to get a bunch of the achievements in because it's just free scrolls, and free scrolls means you get more net 5s. With those more net 5s, you can probably progress faster. That's about it. Would you recommend building Poseidon for beginner RTA? No, the thing is, I wouldn't go for things that need a lot of setup. Like, for example, Poseidon needs the attack buff. Poseidon needs the armor break. Poseidon needs a lot of stuff. And you kind of want, like, solo, decent units that have multiple ways of being set up or doing the setup for other units. That's the main thing that you're focusing on. Because the moment that you're going full hard on a Poseidon or you're going full hard on Zyros or something, or I don't know what. That's why you kind of lock yourself out of like, okay, this is gonna get dangerous to the point where can you actually get the setup? Plus, you have a ban, and with the ban, they are it's like let's say that you have one armor breaker, one strip, and a Poseidon, and then another damage dealer. They're just gonna remove your one strip, and then you're done for, right? So those are definitely the things that you have to keep in mind. It's like, okay, if I do a certain draft, would it be that if he bans something, can I still properly do my draft? These units are definitely more annoying, especially these for beginner players. That's absolutely a fact. So let's see what we can do over here. I'm going to gamble it on this one. Let's just see if we can gamble it on the... Ooh, it does have a tableau as well. Do I fear the tableau more, or do I fear one of these two more? The tableau could be very fast. It's definitely one of those units that I would rune. Like, if I had a tableau, would I rune it super fast or still moved after the units if it would be a begin game? Not sure. Let's actually remove the tableau. He removes my speed lead as well. I do still think I have a decent amount of speed. Fun fact is, if he has his own lead, he actually makes it where he has full-on crit rate. I'm not sure if this Asher 184... Don't really see any units on his side which I would really give the value to. It's like, okay, these are going to be super fast. So for that reason, it's still always very good to have options to take that first turn, as I'm doing right here. Can we land this? We do land that. We do crit. We do take it out. And that's just a very good start from the get-go already. I think I don't want to be dealing with your nonsense for a little bit. So let's actually put you in the back. Ooh, does do that with full HP. Let's see how much you hit. Actually, this Chow is on a 67 crit rate as well, which makes it pretty interesting for putting a unit that can crit next to it. Too bad he does increase my cooldown. Because of that cooldown increase, I cannot use your skill, and your skill would actually mean that I could have reset this some math and not have like the comeback later. One of us is having shitty internet. That's the thing over here. Most likely it's him because I am streaming. Or it's just a bad connection to the server. That could also be a thing. But sometimes that is very annoying. Okay, let's do on self. You don't always want to do on self because the moment on self, you can lower the cooldown on this. But in this case, I think it is kind of fine. So let's see. I think that he disconnected from the looks of it. Yeah, that was actually my plan as well, that you would get a turn on this. Well, maybe if I'd done it somewhere else, it would have been a little bit better. No, he's actually still there. Okay, takes that out. That is a little bit bad. Taking this out, heal blocking it would be pretty nice, but will be a hard thing to do as well. Will we just take this out and then... Could be dangerous though, but we have to take it out at some point. That might actually be a good rotation to take it out. No, that's a really bad stun. That is actually a really, really bad stun right there. Okay, at least we resisted that. Ooh, doesn't take it out as well. Okay. And is not great neither. And that's a very bad stun for me again. Good, Vio. Chow is smacking hard. I'm liking the Chow. If we hit this right now, it would start healing. So we actually have to hit this and we're going to lose this. And it's kind of Chow against the world. That's going to be name of the game. Okay, at least no stun. I think a Chow should definitely win against, like in this low ranks. Because in high ranks, this would start dealing a lot of damage and stuff. Like, she would actually have, like, a good amount of damage. But in low rank, she's barely doing any damage. Like, 500, 800s per hit. Chow just a 17k. Yeah, that's a little bit different. That is a little bit different. So Chow is actually pretty good in here. It's just that the Chow has kind of low crit rate, which is a little bit of an issue in the sense of, well, if you don't have a crit rate lead. But in my case, I have either a Juno lead or a Daphnis lead, which does help out a lot to beat these players too. An LD with this account would be so funny. It would. It definitely would. Ooh, okay. Dangerous things. Dangerous things. Definitely do like the monkey on the elements over here. I do like an Amduet because of the Tiana. Okay, the Kind Sir goes full on cleave. I think he would be somewhat scared of Revenge Third. But then again, I would also kind of like to go for second speed lead over here. And with a second speed lead, I would have to go you. You do have 2 speed leads, and I think he was eyeballing to remove this as a speed lead. Big question is then, do we remove the attack buffer, the pushbacker, or the hard damage dealers? That is going to be... I think I'm going to be removing this. I think that's probably my best take. Okay, it does remove that. That does make sense. Well, let's see what we can do on our side. Imagine pulling Zeratul on this account. Yeah, no, I'd rather not. Like, if I get any LD, please be any LD that's good on this account to the point of that it actually does make sense of having that here. What are we gonna do? We're gonna put this on you. I think we are going to go for this. We did push back. Let's see if he also pushes back me. Doesn't fully push back. You are still not slower than that, so actually let's go for the damage on this. I missed the crit over there. I did get the additional turn does not kill. We have no crit rate. Where are them crit rates at? If we had a little bit of crit rate over there, Monkey would have killed. Monkey counter, Monkey does counter, okay. You do have this rotation from your S3 or your S3, S2. But if the monkey stuns, oh, you stunned the monkey instead. Wow, damn. If he didn't stun the monkey, monkey would have countered. Okay. Low chance of landing that. Also, monkey, why the fuck do you miscrit? Okay, monkey. Okay, let's see what was the miscrit. Brother, you were like 82. 82 miscrit right there. Nice, impressive. So yeah, you're definitely going to be losing a few matches. That's just imminent. It's gonna happen. You're not the best player out there yet. Just sorry to break it to you, but you're gonna lose a lot of matches. But that's also if you don't want to be wasting too much of your time. If you're seeing a kind of draft that's like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose against that. Like this guy was thinking that I had a crazy draft. Just leave. Like, who cares? You can play 30 wings a day. You don't have to play all 30, but if you feel like, hey, this is getting too difficult for me, I cannot get my achievements in here, just hit the X button. Like, simple as that. Like, no harm done in that whatsoever. You don't have to go for the highest win rate or anything. You just try to get your matches in there, and you try to get some stuff. So, in this case, the kind sir is already throwing some LDs at our face, and I'm just... For other players, I would probably say, like, if you see a bunch of LDs, you probably want to exit out. But let's actually see on this account what I can do against LD players. Or maybe it's just a Maximilian starter account and the rest of the shits are shit. Could be a thing too, could be a thing too. Okay, he has 2 LDs already. Fair, fair. Let's go for... I think I want to add in the Veramos. I am somewhat tempted to ban you. That is my main take right now. I maybe could go for Juno. It's not the greatest of takes, but let's see. You're doing a YouTube video? Yes, sir. Well, some of these parts will be in a YouTube video, some of them not. Okay, okay, kind sir. You have a few LDs. I get that. Thank you. That's gonna suck. Yeah, this is one of those, like, normal players I would heavily recommend. Just exit out. Like, sure, you could give it a try just to see what the units do, but if they're already showcasing 3 LDs, they probably do have some units, they do have some runes, and they're probably not in this kind of rank. Actually, it's just the first time them playing RTA. It could be, you have those kind of people out there. Yep, removes the speed lead. I still see potential where I outspeed. It just depends if this Chandra or Swift. Chandra on Swift is actually pretty good in the early game. If you do have a Chandra, you put it towards Swift, it's definitely a pretty decent unit right there, because it gives you potential to outspeed while having a speed lead. And he is actually not. So in that case, we go for the jump. We do land most of that. Can we crit this? We do miss that, but we do land the thing after. So let's see what we can bruise from here. This thing goes through shield, so he could potentially still kill that. Does kill that. That's kind of bad. I think I still lose from here, though, because I don't really have a good way of killing that Chow. And he's going to put a nasty armor break up my ass right now. You say what? Yeah, that's a pretty nasty armor break right there. If the Chow procs, I will have an issue. If the Chow doesn't proc, I might be... Ooh, that's good damage from you too. Wow. Okay. Not sure if I want if I do start lapping this, but I still want to take you out. Otherwise, you start getting immunities and shits. Too bad no stunts. Too bad no stunts. Would have been nice. Would have been nice. Shadow shot. Therefore, I don't cycle. That is pretty bad. Yeah, this guy, just by simple fact, has bit better runes than I have. Any additional turns? Well, we're not out just yet. Yeah, this thing can't additional turn and I removed the wrong thing, which also does not really help. But by the speed buff, I will still lap. I think. No, I don't. That sucks because he has another Justice. Doesn't he? Yeah, he does have another Justice. Justice and armor break will definitely kill. Without the armor break, he wouldn't have killed. But even if you see this, like, I'm not doing too bad against a dude that probably has a lot better stuff than I do. But from this point on, I don't really see these two winning against these two. Would be pretty hard to do so. But we're definitely gonna give it a try still. Okay, triple miscrit on 91 doesn't really help neither. But I first have to take out the Chandra because the Chow would solo heal, self-heal. Okay, he does switch target, that makes more sense. If we were to get any dispairs on it, it would have been nice. Would have been niche, would have been something. But now he goes Trick of Water, which actually does resist them both. Okay, we do get a little bit more healing in there. I don't have you skilled up. If you were skilled up, it would have also been a little bit more healing. Doesn't have Justice, just the skill one. You don't have to decide. Oh, you do have Justice. Ah, and an additional turn. Well, we're still gonna play it out, just for the sake of it. Let's see if we can at least... I think there is an achievement that lose with 1 unit left or something, so... Let me kill your final unit before you stop proccing 16 times, fucking Chow. Don't think this kills, right? Nope. And this hopefully kills. Full miscrits. God damn it. Wow, you... yeah, you have people that will emote on you and they feel good about themselves when they proc 3 to 0. That's also this game. People feel really good when they win. That is normal. So you throw 3 LDs at it, you proc 3 times, and then you're like, I won, I was good. Like, who cares? Okay, Pheromone's Gap, so you always Irene. That's just a must. Let's also go for the third. I am somewhat tempted to also go for you later on. Another LD right there. Okay, okay. Since I don't really like you that much because you have such a bad build. We definitely will go for you. Well, what do we want to pair next to that? It's also not that great. None of these things are that great against all of this. Let's just go Okeanos. A little bit too far. Yeah, it's probably some starter account as well. Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone does have the Chow because the Chow is free. The remove Chow, I think we have to respect the Chow. Let's see what he does respect. Gapso is also not a bad unit if you do want to focus more on RTA to pick up early. Because in the end, it is still a fusion unit. Okay, removes that. So I'm on a full fire draft at the moment, which isn't the biggest of issues. I think you're fastest. You are fastest. We are gonna try to kill... Should we kill Veramos or should we kill Lucifer? No, I think I kill you because I know I can kill you. If I crit. But we don't crit. That sucks. Not critting does really suck. We have about 77 crit rate on this, but... and he takes the additional turn. Yeah, RNG in this game can definitely be a thing. Like, it doesn't matter what account I play. But RNG is definitely a thing, apparently. Oh, wait, that thing is on Vampire. Not a bad take as well, if you don't have any rune quality as of yet to put that on Vampire, actually. And pretty much resist. Get my additional turn over there. But I think it's pretty much lost in here. If we had that first skill, it would have been nicer. But as you can see over here, if you're already hard losing, might as well just go for defeat. Like, don't care too much about it. You're just trying to get your achievements in. So we're located at 7 wins, 3 losses. It's not that bad for an early on. And that's also right away where you do see is like you can get a bunch more of these in. And we're already looking at 200 coins. We did already use 100 coins. So that's where you can already see is like how fast of just these achievements you do already get those in. Achievements reset once a season. And seasons are mostly like 80, 90 days. So definitely you're not going to get a lot of repeats on those. And every win is just going to net you a few points. So it's mainly about just getting the achievements in. And then after the achievements, you can play more. It will give you points, it will give you some scrolls, but it's not really that much of a must of like keep on grinding. It's just for the first few achievements, I would say. Just to get more scrolls in, get your Leo in, get your whatever unit you want to do in. Getting Fighter 3 gives you a lot of points. Yeah, that's probably true. Like every time you rank up, you get a decent amount of points. So let's see what we have on the play over here. Might be someone that just times out the draft and then starts playing later. Before you could actually, okay, this guy does have some LDs already as well. Maybe he's not really worth this rank normally, but let's just see. Yep, he did time out the draft, therefore the draft timing is halved. 60 days a season, I think it's mostly like 85-ish or so, but could be wrong on that. Or is it 2 months? Maybe it is 60, maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Okay. That's definitely looked like a timed out draft right there. It could be that this is the only LD he has and that these are just the units from himself. That could be a thing. In that case, we would have some units faster than me. Do we go Amduet? I think Amduet might be pretty decent. Irene might be decent, but could be reset by those two. Well, let's just go Irene. Yep, he's definitely timing out on the draft. They made a change in the last patch that if someone plays 5 turns on auto, that they will get fully, or they just insta-lose. So, not sure if this player's gonna just auto his draft and then just see what happens. Or that he's just actual full autoing, but let's just see what this guy does. I can stun the Zenitsu, that's going to be a little bit annoying, but I think it will be fine. Yeah, if they full auto, maybe they full auto with the hope that I leave faster than the first. I think he has to take like 5 turns on auto, and then I would get the free win. So let's see what happens. Okay, we do go first on this. I could go for an S3 into your... Yeah, I do lap most of the units anyways. Let's go for this. We can go for an AoE stun. We stun absolutely nothing. Who do we remove? I think we're going to be putting you in the back. You in the back. Can we get some more pushbacks? Pushbacks or slows. We didn't get slow on you. Slow on you would have been pretty nice. I think we're gonna do you on self. These two are slowed, so they're a little bit slower in the first place. Speed buff with that. Can we get enough damage in on this thing before it moves? It's not gonna be enough. At least yeah, it looks like he's autoing. So he's just hoping to win in 5 turns or lose in 5 turns. That's kind of the thing that he's doing. So if I just survive for 5 turns, so that's also a thing. If anyone plays you like this, they're just trying to survive for 5 turns, because the moment that they're 5 turns in, which I will actually showcase here as well, I'm just gonna not win until those 5 turns, and then I get the free win. So he's just waiting all of his turns. You might be like, oh, that's so annoying, I should leave. Don't leave. Like, if the bar always goes down to 0, don't leave. Never leave. It's crazy that they finally added the anti-AFK. Yep. And I do really like it. The anti-AFK is really good in these kind of ranks, because a lot of people were doing this kind of nonsense. And I think they still get a decent amount of successes in, because in the end, this guy's fighter 1. So he's getting his successes from somewhere, right? I think he has 1 more turn that he would auto. He would definitely kill something right now. His draft would have probably won mine, because I couldn't kill the Zenitsu early on and I got like a double round of stun. Yep, victory. So that is exactly what I mean, but this guy was actually still in a decent rank doing that kind of nonsense, so I guess that this still works. Yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. If someone is just full autoing you, you get the free win. Which is nice, why not? Free wins, always good. You just have to survive like 5 turns. Like, they actually get kicked out pretty fast.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.